Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to Versus Stars podcast. All my loyal listeners, thank you for your continued support. And remember, click the subscribe button, everybody. This is an amazing episode because Jess Chanliau boards the mothership. You know them as Ronnie on The Diplomat on Netflix. Come aboard and you go traversing the stars. It's totally my pleasure. Diplomat is a fantastic show, so thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
I always start with a question of inspiration to inspire your love for acting and who your earliest influences.
So I think probably my early influences are like other kids that I would like play with, childhood friends. I really gravitated towards kids that were very playful and silly and didn't take things too seriously. I also played football or soccer. And I always felt that was a pretty kind of like performance show type thing. But I guess like media wise, like on TV or film, like I the first thing that like really impacted me was seeing like bits of Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton and Lucille Ball. There was also this other show, I don't know if you ever watched it. I didn't really watch it, but it over all of those things, it had a huge impact on me, and it was called The Big Comfy Couch.
No, I don't know that one. What was it about?
It was a 90s show. It was this clown. Her name was like Lynette or something. But it was a kids show. Like she would teach you like colors and like how to tell the time. She would like lay on her floor in her living room and tell the time with her limbs. So I learned how to tell time that way as well.
So is that like a goal for you? Would you love to do a kid show one day?
I mean, yeah, I would be. Yeah, I would totally be up for that. Yeah.
So when you were younger, were you more introverted or extroverted?
I think it really kind of changed. I grew up, I have a twin brother. And when we were younger, he was much quieter. So I think I was kind of compensating for that. But when I was like alone at school, I think I kind of came out of my shell a little bit more. Other kids definitely brought me out of my shell a lot.
Yeah. Now, having looked through some of your history, you're what is called a movement artist. So what is that?
I think I say that because I'm not a dancer. So movement, like theatrical movement or physical theater for me is more about focusing on storytelling through your body. So there are so many kind of physical theater techniques, like Laban or Laban, Lecoq, like mime work, mask work, a lot of clowning is a lot of my background. I think during drama school, when I was at drama school, I think those were much more helpful for me. I think in like a theater context as well, like I've played characters, or I've played in a show where I had to play like 20 different characters. And so being able to kind of use some of these techniques to distinguish between all of these different characters that I'd be portraying on stage so that the audience can tell, oh, I'm changing character now. Yeah.
Now, I've talked to obviously different actors throughout the time of doing this, and I've had when actors are looking to figure out a character, how to perform a character, some say they do it from a voice, some say they do it from a separate way of either walking or moving. When you're developing your character as a movement artist, are you thinking movement first or voice first?
I think most of the time it depends on what the story is for me. Like when I was doing Diplomat, I think I had to involve kind of what the physicality was because my costume was so tight. But I think there's always like in all of the things I do, like there is like a rhythm that needs to be addressed, like within the story, but also like how that translates in my body and how I can kind of physically match the energy of the other people in the cast. Um, but I would say for most things I do start from my body at like from where I, Jess, am coming from to
Mhm.
start with, because like you have to work from something, I think.
Now, you also mentioned that miming and clowning. So, have you been either a mime or a clown professionally at some point in your career?
I mean, I feel like I'm all my life. um I did a show called South Bend in 2018, and that was the show where I played like 20 different characters. And I think that was really heavily clown. Um uh I think every acting job is really clowning to a certain extent, I think.
Yeah.
Even dramatic roles, like I think uh like like regular actors, clowns are really they want a connection with the audience. So yeah, I think all the jobs I've done, I've been a professional clown doing it.
I mean, ever full makeup?
So I did when I was doing when I went to Pacific Conservatory of the Performing Arts, we had like a clown showcase. Um so that was like that was I would say that's the only time I put like the white face on with the red nose and stuff. Yeah.
What was that
Um
like?
I loved it. I mean, it was kind of it was classical clown, so there's no speaking. It's like a nonverbal clown, and you're meant to keep eye contact with the audience, at least an audience member at all times. Um, and so I mean, it's just so silly and fun. I think that's what appealed to me about like the Big Comfy Couch when I was a kid. Was that there was this like she seemed like an adult to me. She wasn't like a child. And so I was kind of like looking at her and thinking why the other adults around me weren't as kind of like playful and big um and so any opportunity I get, I would do it again. I would do the red nose and makeup again.
So your next job will be as performing as a clown for.
Well, I mean, it always will be. It always will be.
That's awesome.
In some case, yeah.
I mean, your background from for a drama, your education is amazing. So it's the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, the Cours Florent in Paris, the Marin School of Arts in Nevada, Pacific Conservatory of the Performing Arts in Santa Maria, and then I think there's another one in there somewhere. So that's a lot of training. So what did all these different approaches and to the craft? How did that help you develop as an actor?
Uh I learned um I learned kind of similar techniques in all of them, but also like different techniques in all of them. And I think that was just really great for my kind of actor toolbox and the like resources and tools I am able to pull from whenever I'm doing a job. Um, it was kind of so, sometimes I wonder like whether it was worth going to drama school for that long, because it was I guess like seriously it was 5 years, which I don't know if I would recommend. But I basically moved to California when I was 16. I did like my last year and a half of high school there. Um, and it was like it was an arts magnet program. So you had regular classes, but then kind of a more serious arts class as well. So I did theater. Um, and it was kind of the first time people were saying to me that I could do this like full time if I wanted to have this as a job. And I wasn't a very studious high schooler. And I knew pretty much I wasn't going to go down like the academic route. So I went to PCPA because it was within the state of California, and I was living in California at the time. But it was right out of high school for me. So I went from high school to this like very intense conservatoire training. Um, and then after that, tried to work as an actor in the Bay Area, which was really, really difficult. And at the end of that year, after I graduated from PCPA, I was like, oh, maybe I need to go back to drama school again. Um, I was interested in moving back to Europe, and also knew that the RCS, the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, they taught Lecoq, which is like French clowning and movement technique that I was really interested in doing. So yeah, I don't know, like I, don't, I think drama school is really helpful in terms of developing technique, and really just like practicing a lot over and over again and having a routine, and all of the schools I've been to like have experienced some really, really good teaching. But I think in retrospect for me, when I think back to drama school, I think about how there could have been, I guess, more of an emphasis on like how the industry works exactly, and how much, I guess what I mean by that is how much the jobs that you get as an actor within the industry are almost, I would say, almost entirely based off of how you look. And so the politics of desirability are like really pervasive all throughout the industry. And so I think having graduated from a couple of institutions and now being in the industry for at least a few years now, I think I really had to learn about that through kind of trial and error and observation and things like that. So I think drama school is really helpful. But I don't know if anybody's watching this and deciding if they want to go to drama school. I don't think it's completely necessary.
So how do you navigate those politics? Especially as someone, I mean, once you become, very well known, obviously you start getting a little more pull and power, and you can dictate a little bit about your roles and whatnot. But starting out, how do you navigate those politics?
At the start for me, it was really hard because I think when you're doing auditions or you're at a job, I mean, like any job, you're kind of having to figure out what the dynamic is and what the hierarchy is and where the power is. And so I think at the beginning of my career, I felt like I had no power to talk about even like questions I had in scripts and stuff. Like I remember one audition I had kind of soon out of drama school in Scotland. I was living in London at the time, and I went into the audition, and on the audition sheet it said like the casting call was for a mixed race African goddess. When I read that, I was like, that's not what it originally was when I was reading the sides. But then like that was the first time that I was kind of like, what do you think about this? Like, I'm white. What do you think? Is this kind of weird to you? I mean, I didn't get that job, but I think over time, once I kind of how do you say it? I guess like I don't want to say when I became jaded, but when the kind of like like mystical aspect of the industry kind of faded for me, I think that's when I really started thinking about kind of what I believe in, and what impact I had, what impact different roles had. But I think ultimately now it's what I've learned is that it's a matter of really being clear on your values before going into an audition or going into a job. Like just being really clear on what you believe and what your boundaries are. Like what do you want to do and what do you absolutely not want to do. But it's hard because work is it comes and then it completely goes and then comes back again, and so you really have to kind of know kind of what's real for you, I guess.
So when did you become comfortable with the ebb and flow of the business? Because as you mentioned, there's so much time where you're getting the jobs and you must feel like jobs, okay, you're in it, you've got them, and then you get that ebb where it feels like you're never, it probably feels like you're never going to work again, but then you get the job again. So how do you mentally like just navigate that and know that it's just part of the business, it's not you, it's the business that functions that way?
I think something that's really helped me in the past couple of years especially is to not put my entire identity on being an actor. I think having gone to acting school, there's like a real emphasis on this be like, you are an actor and like this is your whole life. And I mean, I want to dedicate myself to acting, absolutely. But if I put my entire personhood and personality, if I put that down just to being an actor, I don't think it's very sustainable. For like my mental health, or just in any case.
No, it totally makes sense. It's gotta be one of the roughest jobs in a way, because once again, there's the competition, and and you do have like that ebb and that flow and that question of that middle ground. I always wondered, like, how do you handle that? Because like for a little while, when I did something not similar to act, I never did act. I'm not good at it, but like commission, where you think to yourself, get all these sales. You're like, okay, I'm making all this money. This is, I'm great at this. And then it stops happening. You're like, oh my god, I'm horrible at this. And you get a job. You're like, see, I'm great. I can't imagine what that would be like for a career long term.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, so The Diplomat, for example, I hadn't worked before that job. I hadn't, because the pandemic started, and I was out of work during the pandemic. But it was like almost like 3 years or something. And this was the first time I was in a massive show like this in a reoccurring role. Like it wasn't just kind of a one-off one-line episode. Um, so I think, yeah, like that, like what you're saying is hard. Like even in the first couple months, like I felt a kind of pressure to like prove that I was an actor again or something, because I kind of felt like I got in there and I was like, oh, now I have to switch modes. I'm an actor now. um which I think actors are always actors, but it is such a huge shift to go from like I was like cleaning and doing kind of uh like regular jobs. And so to go from that to being on set for like almost 10 hours a day was a huge change. But I think, again, like going back to what you were asking about, like how do you deal with like the in-betweens? I think it's kind of going back to like what your values are and how to kind of meet like embody those values without having to rely on an acting job. But also, like, I before The Diplomat, like I couldn't rely on acting to bring in like a steady income, like so it was kind of like no choice for me. I like kind of had to make sure that I had some job that was actually going to bring something in.
So I mean, but obviously it worked, because as you mentioned, you're now Ronnie the Diplomat, which became a huge series on Netflix. So how do you get involved in the series, and what were you told about it?
I was told so little, which was kind of exciting. So I wasn't told much. I did a self-tape, and it was 4 lines or something. It was like the president's on the phone type, like really, really short. And the main thing that I was like, I will do this tape as perfectly as possible, was because I knew Deborah Kahn was the showrunner and creator. So I just knew that it was going to be really high quality. And I think when I was auditioning, I almost like didn't care what it was. I was just like, I know she's really great, so yes.
So when you're thinking about, because obviously once you got the role and now you're playing Ronnie, you got to figure out how you're going to enter, develop the character, and your approach. So what's the first like entryway into understanding who Ronnie is?
The only kind of shows that I had watched, that I rewatched, that I thought would kind of get me an in, and this isn't like a similar show, but The Thick of It by Armando, and it's a completely different vibe from this show, but I started there. And then I watched a couple of YouTube videos by this creator called Hey Miss Traveler, and she's a diplomat. So it's just kind of like a vlog of a diplomat. So that was helpful. But also just kind of trying to figure out the help that diplomats need, and what assistance they get on a day-to-day basis, basically.
So, I mean, one thing with Ronnie, there's not they don't really give much backstory to who Ronnie is, and how did Ronnie end up in that position, things of that nature. So did anyone tell you behind the scenes that who Ronnie is as a character, or did you figure out decide for yourself who Ronnie and how Ronnie got there?
So Deb originally told me that Ronnie was very loosely based off of a relative of hers. But I didn't, because I didn't I didn't know much about. So in terms of like a backstory, there wasn't really much. There was kind of an indication. So I had my own desk on set, and there was like a kind of veteran medallion. So I kind of imagined that maybe my dad gave me that or something, or Ronnie's dad gave them that. But honestly, I was so nervous the first like month that I was shooting that, and again, I think this is where the movement training came in, was Ronnie is so like excited to be working and wants to do good. And I was so nervous that I think what I mainly focused on was kind of translating that nervousness into excitement so that it so that it would seem that I was excited rather than very nervous.
Well, the cool thing about Ronnie, she is Stewart's right hand person on the show. So why do you think Stewart relies so much on Ronnie? What was it about Ronnie that makes that valuable?
I think we said that they'd probably been working together for 2-ish years. But I think Ronnie is really reliable for mostly. And that's why Stewart it has kind of a good relationship with Ronnie, I think. And they're precise. I think Ronnie wants to proceed in their job, and so they just kind of want to continuously show that they can do that and that they can problem solve. I think they probably get excited by problem solving. I think when conflict happens, like they are ready to just try to figure it out. And I think Stewart's character has a lot more stressful things, front-facing stressful things that he needs to deal with. So I think Ronnie's the kind of like studier, and then is able to kind of be like, this is the research that I found, and he has to do kind of the dirty work.
So, I mean, I assume The Diplomat is going to go to a season 2. I mean, at least it seems, I mean, successful that it will do it. Where would you like to see them, what they would like to do with Ronnie? I mean, have you talked to them at all? Have you been like, so, I would be really good at with this, building up this developed part of the character or something like that? Have there been any discussions, anything like that?
I mean, all throughout, I was kind of imagining what season 2 could be like and what we could, how we could develop the relationships. I had so much fun with Pearl Mackie, who plays Elise on the show. I would really love to see our friendship develop on the show. So yeah, I think more in charge, more work.
I mean, that would make sense. I mean, do you think that if there was a season, when there is a season 2, that Stewart will give them more responsibility on the show?
I think so. I think they've been through a lot in the first season. I think Ronnie deserves more work.
I mean, the cast of The Diplomat is actually terrific. You have actors like Rufus Sewell, Kerry Russell, David Jesse. That's how you pronounce it?
Yep.
I was not even close. Okay.
That's okay. I wasn't either. Yeah.
And David Jesse. So what was the experience like on set with them?
It was so good. They all of the cast that I worked with were so lovely. Just every single one of them. I mean, I worked closest with Ato Asando, who played Stewart, and Pearl Mackie, who played Elise. And Ato is like a masterclass in acting. And he was just so good about answering all of my my noob questions and was really patient. And Carrie too, like for the amount that she had to do every day, I saw her with a smile. She was really chipper. She was really nice. And she was kind of like playful and silly, which was really refreshing. All of them like were just like really fun to be around. I in the green room, one day I remember with Alian and Nana Mensa, just like laughing and laughing and laughing, like just really funny group of people, fun and funny group of people. So would absolutely work with any of them again for sure.
I mean, the thing with the show, I mean, mostly it's such a serious show, and in many ways a very heavy show. So how do you not take that with you? You know, when because you're acting in that, they'll tell everyone has to be like that. How do you not take that with you when you're off camera?
It was pretty easy for Ronnie because I think I'm quite different from Ronnie. Like Ronnie has really high drive. I think they're the type of person that when they go home, they're doing a hobby that's related to their work. They're like learning like 3 different languages or something for fun. uh and I get the sense that they have a hard time relaxing. Um and I just I'm not as kind of work hungry, I guess. I shouldn't say that. I am work hungry. Please hire me. But I guess I'm not as obsessed as I think Ronnie would be out of work. So I think it's easier for me to disconnect because I am able to kind of come back to myself because there's some difference there.
Well, we know with Kerry Russell's character, once again talking about being vice president, things of that nature. Is Ronnie at all considering, because the connection there, that Ronnie could be looking now at higher office?
Yeah, I think they in season 1 they've kind of proven that they're capable of writing big things, of making really big suggestions for important speeches and things like that. And I think Kate likes Ronnie. I think, um, uh, but yeah, I think there's definitely room for Ronnie to be going up the political ladder.
So the other thing with the Diplomat is that it gets a lot of comparisons to the West Wing, obviously because both shows are very political, both shows are high drama for the most part. Why do you think the show is so highly regarded?
Deborah Kahn. I think she's just really she's so smart. She's so smart and has a really strong team of writers and is a really strong writer herself. I think she's really good at investing in relationships. Like I love the relationship between I'm like thinking of their actor names of Idra and Stewart, for example. I love their relationship. I hope that develops more. But I think it's that. I think Deborah knows how to write relationships really well. And that's so interesting to watch. Real believable relationships.
So, what has it been like for you? I mean, now that the show's over, and now it's getting all the positive feedback, people are talking about it. It's a hit show. What is that like for you? I mean, do you suddenly feel like now you can take the world? You could have so many opportunities, or is it still is it hard to digest all that?
It was when it first came out, because I live in a small town in Scotland, so it's like it feels funny. It felt funny to me to watch it on my TV and uh I don't know, see like billboards in this town with Carrie on it, and um yeah, it still kind of feels unreal. And also like I'm back to my regular life doing my like regular things. So it's wild, honestly. Yeah, even months after it's come out.
So, I mean, obviously, like we said, there's gonna be a season 2 of The Diplomat. What can you tell us about it? Like, have there been any whispers for what to expect?
I I can't say anything about it. But I also don't know. I like can't say anything, but also genuinely don't know. Because like we're finding just on season one as well, like we're finding out a lot as they come. So you have to just kind of be prepared for where the story's going to go.
Okay, can you say when it's going to start filming?
The second
Yeah,
season,
second season.
it has.
Oh, it's already filming. Okay.
Mhm.
And can you? I mean, I'm not sure you can answer that, but I'm going to bother you about it anyway.
Okay.
Can you say if your role is bigger or smaller in season 2 than season 1?
No.
Can you say if the role has changed in season 2?
Huh. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I'm just seeing what more I can get out of you about it. Let's see. Does Ronnie interact more with Stuart in season 2 or Carrie Russell's character? Sorry, I keep forgetting Katie.
Both.
Okay. Are you able to say, does the location stay the same or is it more traveling, like different locations?
I don't know. Like that's yeah, there's some yeah, I have no idea.
Same amount of episodes?
Also, I don't know.
No worries.
It's easier when I don't know. I love being able to be like, I don't know.
So, do we know when the last season 2 is going to come to Netflix?
I'd imagine it would be kind of the same as it was like in a year's time or something, a little bit over a year maybe.
Or are we gonna get some backstory on Ronnie?
Uh Maybe.
So what can you say? What's next for you?
What is next for me? Some things some things I can't tell you what's next. Um yeah, there are some things I can't say that are next. But I can tell you what I would like to be next.
All right, tell me, what would you like to be next?
Yeah, okay. I'll try to like say it out there. Oh gosh, now I have to actually answer that. Well, so like I think after I did this Netflix shows, it started to really make me feel like, oh, I could dream of things that I would like to do after this. Like I mean I know that you interview a lot of sci-fi actors. Like I would love to be in a sci-fi um or some kind of like fun queer road trip movie or something like that. Something different, I think.
I could totally see you on Star Trek. There's no reason why the Star Trek franchise wouldn't find you.
Well, I'm here. I'm here.
Are you considering conventions in your future? I mean, I assume the Diplomat would have conventions.
Really? I mean, yeah, I would absolutely be up for that. I didn't even think that I've not even thought that's an option.
Oh, I would imagine that's definitely an option. I mean, a popular show, you could guarantee that are there conventions in Scotland?
There was an anime convention this past week, actually. Yeah, I think there are. That would be cool. I would absolutely love to go to a convention.
Absolutely, you got to jump on the convention circuit so you can travel the world.
I'll have to do my research.
Jess, it's been an absolute honor to talk with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jeff. It was so nice. Thanks. You too.